to American Education FM, everybody. I'm Dr. Sean Brooks. Ladies and gentlemen, about a week ago, I had a student who attends Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, contact me. And they said that they were interested in coming on and discussing what exactly is going on their campus. And for those who have been listening to this podcast, again, I want to thank you, and I appreciate it. And you know that I've been sort of chomping at the bit to talk with a university student about what's going on, and in particular a university student who is articulate and knows what's going on and has their head on straight. And I can tell you without a doubt we found one here. So this individual is going by the name of Jeff, and again they attend Xavier University. And I just want to read you a brief sort of Xavier University at a glance, and this comes directly from their website. But it says the following, quote, "Founded in 1831, Xavier University is a Jesuit Catholic university in Cincinnati, Ohio, annually ranked among the nation's best universities." Of course, they all say that, but whatever. It continues, "Our four colleges offer 90-plus undergraduate majors, 60-plus minors, and 40-plus graduate programs to approximately 7,000 total students, including 5,000 undergraduates." So Xavier University is inner city. It is sort of in the hills of Cincinnati, so to speak. I've been on the campus a few times. It is smaller, but this individual who has joined us again is going by the name of Jeff for anonymous purposes, and what they are going to describe is an absolute nightmare. And so I would encourage everybody again to listen to this entire episode. Please share it wherever you can, because you're going to get a first-hand take as to what's going on at the university level. And again, many of us are fully aware, but here you're hearing it directly from an individual who is neck deep in this war, knows what's going on, and fortunately they are in the fight with us. And just very briefly, before I dive into our discussion here and you can hear directly from him, there's a few things that I wanted to mention here, news-related, so to speak, that are worth bringing up, because again, the vice is clamping down, and what I've discussed in this podcast is already coming true. So this first story, very quickly, comes from the Lebanon City School District, which again is very close to where we live. This just came out yesterday, as a matter of fact, or 2 days ago, and it says the following: Lebanon City Schools is not only now making masks mandatory, but it's also closing schools for several days. It says there are more than 800 students in quarantine. This is a K-12 public school, I might add, a K-12 school district. More than 800 students in quarantine, a jump from 300 last week, just a week ago. It says starting Tuesday, all students will need to wear masks, and on Wednesday, the district will be shutting down for the rest of the week. Because it's the jabbed who are falling ill. They're not going to tell you that. That's not what they're going to say. It's the jabbed that are falling ill here. Their teachers are falling ill because they've taken the jabs. If they were teenagers and they were dumb enough to take the jabs, they too are falling ill. And then, of course, the teachers are transmitting their jab juice and their jab ill effects onto the unjabbed students. There's no stopping this. There's absolutely no stopping this. This is not going away. This is getting worse. And in the town where I live, Oxford, the city council has just gone back to their 2020 rules where everybody has to wear a mask unless you have a medical exemption or say you have a medical exemption. Everybody's got to wear a mask doing basically everything unless you're exercising or you're doing this or you're doing that. They're even allowing individuals in restaurants still. Thank you, totalitarians, for your permission. But they're saying things like you don't have to wear a mask as long as you're eating and drinking and whatever else. And then, of course, they're continuing to put the pressure on Miami University, or not just wear masks, of course, they're already doing that, but to get the jabs. Because, again, that's the next step. I've said this on Gab, and I'm going to say it again here. The individuals that are mandating these jabs and mandating the masks, in particular the jabs, they are complicit in murder. It's that simple. They are complicit in murder. So to the police officers, if any of you are listening to this, what the hell is the matter with you? When are you going to start arresting these city council members and these school district members for being complicit in murder? When are you going to get involved? because there's a lot of awake people out there, and this university student that you're going to hear from right now is awake, and he's learning, and he's helping people, and I hope that his message, again, resonates with a lot of people and helps a lot of people. So again, we need people like this excellent human being in the fight with us here going forward, without a doubt. So again, share this episode far and wide, and I'll catch you on Friday. I mean, let's go back to 2020 January, if you can. March. When all hell sort of broke loose and people started making the decisions they started making. What is it? Where were you then in your school year, and then what was Xavier doing?
Well, I had finished right like the week before everything locked down in Kentucky and pretty much everywhere. I had just finished my first visit to Xavier and actually committed to the school. And I was pretty excited about going just because it seemed like the right place for me. I wanted to pursue a career in the medical field. I wanted to be a doctor. And I had really, taken interest in their pre-med program because their success rate for those coming out of Xavier was about 98% of students who applied to med school from Xavier got into med school, which was a very reassuring statistic to me. And I didn't hear much from Xavier other than like they sent people home when everything locked down, which is what I think other colleges or most other colleges did as well, was they just kind of sent everyone home and then ended the school year there. I didn't get much information from Xavier leading up to the fall semester. It was pretty much going to be like every other college, masks in every single scenario. The whole social distancing thing, like 6 feet apart, they were very strict on. So when I got there, it was, they had a lot of things planned out, such as like move-in. They had you pick like different time intervals to come in and move. You could only bring like a certain number of family members and stuff, which I thought was absurd. But
yeah,
and you had to wear masks at all times, unless you were inside of your dorm room, like your bedroom, while you're moving in. And they were like very strict on the whole social distancing 6 feet apart rule, which is probably the most unreasonable thing. Like that rule has been like debunked.
Do you know where that comes from?
I feel like I remember hearing this, but I completely forget. It's about droplets, right?
Well, believe it or not, it's far worse than that.
Really?
Yeah, the 6 feet apart thing is a satanic ritual.
Is it?
Yeah, 666.
Oh, of course.
See what I mean?
Go on.
No, yeah. I mean that's it. The thing that is lost on some is that and I'm not trying to interject too much here. I want to keep you have you keep going, but one of the levels of thinking that's unfortunate in this entire thing is that there are individuals, as you know, that are just complying, and then there are individuals, even such as yourself, that are saying, "Wait a minute, this isn't right. This doesn't make sense. This is completely ridiculous, whatever." But then there's another level, which is that it's a giant on purpose, and that what's happening is completely satanic.
I agree.
Yeah. Let me ask you another quick question about Trinity, because that's interesting. And I just came across a story the other day about a Trinity school, and it was a middle school / high school. And what it had to do with was it was a letter that had been printed out to every single parent, basically saying that they were going to continue with the masks and the distancing and XYZ, and that they were encouraging their staff members to get jabbed. To your knowledge, are there a lot of Trinity schools around, or is it just that one?
I think the one, they all share like similar names. Most Catholic schools do. I'm the one in Louisville. I don't believe is doing that. I have a sibling that's going there right now, and from my knowledge, they aren't encouraging or like forcing the jab. They might encourage it. I do know that they're not encouraging it to the students, which is a good. I certainly applaud them for that.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry for the question there. I was just curious. I didn't know how prevalent the Trinity school name was for the K-12 school, K-12 school districts. But anyway, go ahead and get back to what you were saying with what Xavier was doing regarding the masks and parent visiting and things like that.
So they had very strict rules when it came to visitors, when it came to masking, especially. The mask was almost like a sacramental to them. It was like a religious item. You had to constantly wear it. It was, they stuck to it like all throughout all first and second semester. You had to wear it inside and outdoors. The only time you didn't have to wear it was when you were actively eating or drinking in the cafeteria, which again doesn't make any sense. It's just like a virus simply doesn't stop spreading just because you sit down and just to have a bite to eat. Like, so that kind of logic just does not make any sense to me. You were only allowed to have like one visitor in the room, in your dorm room, and they had to be wearing a mask along with you. No one followed that rule because it's absurd. It's very stupid.
So nobody had roommates?
Oh, you had roommates, but like beyond like your roommates, you could only have one other person in the room with you. This was the rule for my dorm. I had like a traditional style dorm, like the very small room, and you and your roommate share that room together. I think it may have been like you could have one other person in like larger dorm rooms, but they were strict on the idea of everyone had to be wearing a mask if you had a visitor. You didn't have to wear a mask if there was no visitor in your room. It was just you and your roommate. Let's see.
Wow.
They were very strict about the social distancing. Like I remember repeatedly, they had like their orientation people when they were doing like orientation stuff. They were constantly getting at us about being that 6 feet apart, because they were afraid that we would get sent back home, which is terrible to me because like you're telling these kids to comply to this rule or else they're going to get sent back home, which is, that's certainly for college people, like kids, they want to stay on campus because typically campus life is fun. It's enjoyable. And people, they are there to learn in like the best way possible. And, threatening them with sending them home on campus, that's an effective tool to get your point across because no one wants to be sent home, certainly at college, like when you're at college. So the people that were the orientation leaders who were students were very strict about, upholding the social distancing rule, because they were afraid of being sent home. Let's see.
And if you don't mind me interjecting real quick, from my standpoint, what they're doing is they're trying to teach people that the home is an unsafe environment.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
I never thought about it like that, but
yeah,
that does make sense. Yes.
It's basically like a programming kind of thing where they're saying, we are the safest environment. Your home is not. Your home is the punishment. Your parents and family and loved ones are the punishment, not us.
It's to form a collectivist, like community.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be with your family because then you can actually speak your mind.
That's right.
Right? You can have your own thoughts. And, I always say to my family and stuff, I say my best conversations are with, my family, because they actually listen to me, or they actually give good ideas. And, my parents have taught me a great many things, and I cannot begin to explain how grateful I am to have them as parents, because they've raised me the way I am. I'm very grateful. And I can't begin to explain how much I can thank them for that. But that makes sense, because when you keep people in this collectivist mind, they have groupthink. So they train them and they condition them to just think as a monolith almost. No one has their own free thoughts, and no one's willing to take action if they have free thought. Everyone's afraid. I'm certainly afraid to say something on campus, because you'll get shot down immediately. You'll get you'll have your character assassinated.
I tell you what, I hope that the people listening to this are thinking of one word, because there's one word bouncing around my head right now, and it's the word cult.
It is cult like activities.
Yeah.
And it's very scary. Let's see. And it's concerning, because this is completely goes against the whole idea of Xavier. It's a Christian private college. This is not Christian. These are not Christian values. Christianity, empowers the individual to make decisions in their life to be, grow closer to God, right?
Yep.
These are not godly, actions. People this is what you said. It's satanic. It's scary. I must say it's very scary. I would like to talk about their quarantining methods there, which is absolutely absurd.
Go for it.
So I'll detail my own personal experience. So they had a strict quarantine procedure that they followed. If you they went along with this contact tracing idea. So say if you test positive, you got quarantined. Of course, they would send you or relocate you to a different part on campus where it was solely for quarantine students. Or if you were in contact with someone that tested positive, you didn't have to test positive for COVID. But if you were in contact with someone, you also got quarantined. So my personal experience, this was about a month in to school. I got quarantined along with my roommate. We had been in close contact with someone who had tested positive for COVID the week before. And it's almost like they try to they'll interrogate you to try to, have you rat out other people. It's very akin to, this whole thing is very akin to Solzhenitsyn's Russia that he outlined in the Gulag Archipelago. You have to be an informer. You have to inform people of these, of who you were in contact with, so that they can go and quarantine you. So I had been, associated with this person that had tested positive for COVID, and they literally just showed up at my door unannounced and told me I had 30 minutes to move out and relocate. 30 minutes to pack my things and relocate to another part on campus, where I would stay inside an isolated room for 2 weeks, which, that's a lot to take in. 30 minutes is not enough time to pack, especially it takes about an hour for a trip home, or a trip, a vacation trip. It takes about over an hour to pack for, a week-long vacation trip. So you're giving me 30 minutes to pack for a 2-week stay inside an isolated room. Let's see. we were relocated to another dorm, and we were not allowed to leave unless the only reason we would have to, like, we'd be allowed to leave the dorm room, like our new dorm room we got relocated to, was if we were going to get tested. That was the only, or if we were going home, like we were going back to our hometown to stay, like, and like finish our quarantine there.
So they would at least let you leave and go home.
Right, which is what I did, because I'm not going to stay there.
Good, yeah, because that's a prison.
I agree. It's like, it's very akin to the methods of, you know, the Soviet Union. I don't know have you ever read the Gulag Archipelago?
I have not, unfortunately, but I've read pieces of it.
I cannot stress enough how important that book is.
Yeah. It keeps coming around, and I keep saying I'm going to buy it and read it cover to cover, and I just get on to reading other things. But yeah, I'll get to it, I promise.
It's, you know, if I were to recommend a book for someone to understand what is going on right now, that would be the first book I recommend to them, because it's very similar.
I'll spar with you on books, and I'll toss one your way too. Okay, you can even download this for free on PDF if I'm not mistaken. The book is titled "The Rape of the Mind."
Okay.
By a guy, a Norwegian. He's dead now, but a Norwegian medical doctor and a psychologist by the name of Joost Meerloo, JOOST I think. I usually butcher his last name, but that I mean, just like you said, if there was a book to read that describes what's going on right now, I would lean people in that direction also. And what we're finding, of course, is that all of this has been written out, and we were warned about everything that's going on right now for a very long time.
Yeah. I'll certainly have to look into that one. It's very interesting. Like, the kind of, like, psychology has always fascinated me, especially how it affects, modern society. Things like social media and everything just fascinate me, and how that corrupts people's minds and makes them, almost slaves to the collective, body.
Yep. Go ahead and get back to the quarantining, and again, you said that you went home during this time.
Yeah, I did, because my roommate had tested. He went and got tested. I was originally going to wait it out with him, but he went and got tested and tested positive.
Did he have any symptoms? Was he sick?
He had like a light cough like the week before, but like it kind of like dissipated while we were in there. And then, but he just wanted to make sure, because he was a bit, afraid of COVID, which is whatever, but he went and got tested, and he tested positive, and I didn't get tested until I actually did end up getting tested, because I just wanted to see. I didn't know anything about the test at this point. But when I went back home, I went and got tested, and I tested negative. And throughout this entire time, I have not shown any symptoms of COVID. I have been essentially illness-free from the beginning of the pandemic to present day. I have not had any illness, which, I find very interesting. I'd love to understand the biology of that. Let's see. Oh, while we were in quarantine, they brought us 3 meals a day from the cafeteria, but the meals were like extremely measly. They were terrible. The food was always cold. It was like poorly packaged and everything, like in the to-go box. And I think the most upsetting thing was breakfast. There was one day I was only given a croissant, an apple, and a bottle of water. And I'm sitting here thinking, Like if you have people that are sick, wouldn't you want to give them food that's, going to boost their immune system or boost any processes within their body, like strengthen their body, but instead they're giving us a croissant, an apple, and a bottle of water. I think the best thing for you there is the bottle of water.
Was it spring water or purified water?
I couldn't tell you. I can't remember.
Yeah. Stay away from the purified water. The shit's poison.
Yeah. It's got metals in it, right?
It does. Potassium chloride. It's what they give death row inmates before they're executed. It slows your heart rate and damages your heart. So if you're gonna drink bottled water, make sure it's spring water.
Spring water?
Yeah.
Good to know. Let's see. So here's another bizarre thing. After I had gotten tested, I sent them my results, hoping that, maybe it would lessen the amount of time I would have to spend, quote unquote quarantined. Pretty much just how much time. It was like a deadline for them to allow me back on campus. But they said because I tested negative, I had to wait 14 days, but my roommate only had to wait 10 days because he tested positive. Their reasoning was because the virus could incubate in my body, which I've never heard of with any other virus. Which, again, like, they ended up debunking at some point, like, later on in the year. And so they ended up lessening that time period for negative tests, but I still think that's insane. They should have let me back home immediately. Or not back home, back on campus immediately. But, I the way I saw it was like essentially punishing me for not contracting the virus. Like it's like punishment because you maintain a healthy body and you don't get sick as easily.
Yeah, you're not playing the game of the cult.
Right. I'm not getting frequent tests. I'm not getting, the jab. I'm like not quarantining myself if I have like, a stuffy nose. It's all very absurd, but
can I briefly return to something that you sort of mentioned earlier that I wanted to dive into a little bit, and it has to do with you mentioned that when you were quarantined or there was the suspicion around whether or not you needed to be or other people needed to be, that they had methods of intimidating you to get you to quote unquote rat out people around you.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly did that entail?
I'm not too sure because I didn't have to go through the interrogation of it all, the contact tracing, I should say. Though I do know it was like if you lie about it or they find out you lie about whoever, you get punished somehow. I would think the biggest one would be expulsion from the school, which doesn't sound all too bad.
No kidding. No kidding.
But I'm not too sure, but I do know they would interrogate you, essentially, to get you to, rat out those who you had been around in the name of public health safety.
Were these police officers or were they just students or university employees?
University employees.
Wow.
They would be a part of the COVID, sect of the school. I don't know. They had they would call us while we were in quarantine. They would give us frequent calls every other day to check on us and stuff and remind us of our how long we have left in quarantine and stuff. But I forget what exactly they were called. But they had a head of the whole organization or sect of the school that was running it, overlooking the tests, the contact tracing, maybe even setting up the vaccine rollout here at Xavier. So fast forward to spring, nothing really changed in terms of restrictions, even though I believe cases were dropping then, right?
I think the whole thing has been bullshit, man.
I agree. But
Yeah.
I'm just going off what the media tells people.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But nothing like really changed at all. We still had to wear masks. The restrictions were still in place. They had some activities like intramurals, but only outdoors. But you still had to be wearing a mask, even though it was outdoors.
While you're running around playing a game.
Right. While you're like playing volleyball or something, you had to be, choking on a piece of cloth the entire time.
Do me a favor and gauge the participation of the people around you and what you were hearing about the people around you. I mean, or from the people around you. Were they on board with all of this COVID nonsense, or were they taking more of, your stance on everything? Were they continuing to participate in things, or were they saying, forget it, I'm not going to participate anymore because all of this is ridiculous?
I would say the majority of people participated. A group of us would, do some things like some outdoor activities, but we wouldn't do it on campus. We would go like off campus to other places to like say play basketball or something, because then like they couldn't police us on the masking. Most people were pretty compliant when it came to all the policies. I don't know of many people that thought it was absurd from the beginning.
Let me ask you another thing about the mask wearing, just kind of walking around. If you're walking around on campus outside, do they enforce mask wearing?
Not now, thankfully. Before
but like they did you're saying they did last semester or the year of 2020, like the fall of 2020?
Yes, the fall of 2020 they did. And then spring semester, I think the rule was still in place, but many people, including me, just ignored it when it came to outdoors. I didn't wear my mask outdoors because I thought it was silly. You should be promoting people going outdoors. So one way to promote people going outdoors, because that's healthy, is to let them remove their masks. But, actual health is not of their concern. But like when it came to like intramurals and stuff that were outdoors, they did enforce masks because their idea was, well, if we want to run this or have this, this event happen, we have to make sure everyone's safe and we have to wear masks. Or if there was like an event going on, like out in the lawn, they would enforce masks and in some cases still social distancing. Which at that point, I think it's just placebo. They just want to feel safe, even though the facts clearly show that it's redundant.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's about as much as vaccine rollout.
Yeah, please go for it.
So that started in spring, around I would say late March, early April. They opened up vaccines to Xavier, and so in our our stadium or arena, the Centos Center, they had a vaccines center where you could sign up to go get, I think, either of the three known jabs here in America. I had a friend who got the J&J who suffered terrible side effects. Her leg completely swelled, and she was bedridden for days off the J&J jab. I don't know of any particular cases except for being down for the count for a day when it comes to the Pfizer and the Moderna. But I don't really ask the people I know about their vaccine experiences because they're very uptight about it. Mostly because they are pushing the vaccine themselves. They're promoting it, which I feel I'm not angry at them. I'm more upset at the fact that they've been almost conditioned to do this, to become vaccine salesmen. But even though in the spring they had opened up vaccines, and I know a good population of the student body was, getting vaccinated at this time, they still kept up all the restrictions up until the end of the school year. And then, so the summer of 2021, so before this semester that we're in right now, vaccinations had, significantly increased to about 77% of the student body was vaccinated. But in order to get people vaccinated, to incentivize vaccination, Xavier offered different incentives that included prizes such as Apple AirPod Pros, grant money, and a private suite at basketball games. So carrot and stick, they're incentivizing you to get this experimental drug. It hadn't been, FDA approved yet, which doesn't mean anything, but still. And then
it does. They don't have FDA approval.
They don't have full FDA approval?
No, they don't. That's one of the big lies that's been perpetuated and bounced around. There's another jab that has a different name that apparently is either has received FDA approval or is going to, but the Pfizer jab does not. And that's the lie that is bouncing around that people are believing. All that happened, to my knowledge, is that they extended the emergency use authorization. But here's the overarching point that people have to understand, and I even had this verified from an America's Frontline doctor. Not that they're in the know on everything clearly, but what they did say is I asked them. I said, "Is there any difference in the juice? And is there any difference in the dose when it comes to different age groups receiving these jabs?" And her answer was no. That that it's the same dose and that it's the same juice, regardless of whether it's quote unquote approved for this age or not. So even if this ever receives FDA approval, which it may or may not, no one should ever take it. Because it's not going to be different juice. It's going to be the same juice.
That's very concerning.
Yeah, it's killing people.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It's going to keep killing people, unfortunately, as time continues to roll out here. And of course, the immune system does what it normally does in the fall or in the winter. When certain individuals become ill, the shot has hijacked their immune system, so to speak.
Yes, which I'm going to get into here in a minute, because when I talk about pretty much current day, what's happening right now, that does play a big role in the decisions that our executives here are making. But to get back to the summer, right about a week before school started, they reinstated masks, which before, a couple weeks into the summer, they had stated that we're going to do all open classes and masks are optional for those who are vaccinated. Still absurd, but
yeah.
A week before we returned to school, they reinstated the masks. Because of the Delta variant, even though people aren't dying, the data, quote unquote, shows that people aren't dying at a significant rate like they were previously, even though, it still is BS, but the previous data was. But just going off what most people will see, people weren't dying. It's just case numbers were up, which is how they get you. They only say the case numbers and they make you feel like, oh, well, it's so bad because a couple thousand people have caught this Delta variant, but people aren't actually dying. And they won't ever show the death. Or when they do talk about the death, it's always the total death. They never say like death for like a week or deaths for the month. It's always the total amount of deaths, which it's just wordplay.
Yes, very good. Yep. Let me interject with a couple of things here in case you were unaware, and you may be fully aware of this. I'm not entirely sure, but you can certainly spread this to whoever you want. There is no Delta variant. There's no such thing. In fact, it was written about and spoken about publicly well over a year ago that everything that's happening right now was going to happen. They're going to push jabs. The jabs are going to infect people. Those jabs will be poisonous. The jabbed will start getting ill. They may even transmit their illness onto other people. They'll call it a variant, and then that will continue. And then every single cold and flu season, you will have quote-unquote new variants, when in fact, it's the jabbed that are making the healthy ill by the healthy being around the jabbed.
Yep.
And of course, the tests themselves are not only faulty and test for our own immune system and the very proteins that we have in our normal immune system, so to speak, but that they are using every single test and calling it a case.
Yep. So for masking, they reinstated it, and they were required in all Xavier facilities / buildings except for in the cafeteria while seated, or in your residence halls, or in private office rooms. Oh, and also outdoors. But you still had to wear it while in the cafeteria, not seated, while in classes, and while at the gym and all other facilities. I still can't get over the gym part, because you would think if you wanted to actually protect against a viral outbreak, you would promote healthy lifestyle habits such as going to the gym and boosting, strengthening your body while there. But, again, proper health is not the concern here. And all throughout the semester, they have been pushing the vaccine, constantly pushing it, whether it be from professors or the higher ups. Like the professors are currently, other than the students, the vaccine salesmen. They are pushing it. They were saying, if we want to go back to not wearing masks, if we want to have wide open classrooms, we need you all to get vaccinated. Everyone needs to get vaccinated. And they'll show the data, and it's like 80% of people here are vaccinated, like the student. So, and what's never, really made sense to me is if the vaccine works, then it shouldn't matter if someone doesn't want to get vaccinated. Because if it works, it should protect you, like, supposedly how vaccines should work. It's not up to you to decide who should get the vaccine. It's up to you to decide whether you want the vaccine or not. But that's never, you're not allowed to say that, because that goes against the narrative. That, that's not what they want to hear, because it completely derails their argument. But they keep on pushing it up till the FDA approval of it, quote unquote FDA approval of the Pfizer. And a couple days after that, they mandate the vaccine on campus. So you must be vaccinated before mid-October, or else you would not be able to register for spring 2022 classes. That includes online.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, are the students that are pushing this getting paid?
Not to my knowledge. I think they've just gone like I hate to use the word brainwashed, because it's so harsh in a way, but they've fallen into this trap, I would say, and they're being told these things and they just so desperately want to go back to normal life just like everyone else. But because, you know, they've fallen into this trap, they push these ideas because they think that's what's going to work. But it's hard to get to them and tell them that this is not right, because, you know, on one side they have you telling them, they have us telling them, like, listen, this isn't, you're being told lies, you're being fed garbage here. You need to, you know, let's have a dialogue about this. And then on the other end, they have, you know, the corporate elites, they have the university executives, they have, you know, all of the liberal establishment, everything that's going on, telling them, no, you need to push the vaccine. Everyone needs to get vaccinated. This country is a terrible place. This country is full of nasty anti-vaxxers. They're the bad people, and you need to hate them unless they get vaccinated. And that's confusing for them. And of course, they want to take the easier way out, which is understandable. I don't believe in that, but they believe that by pushing this, by everyone getting vaccinated, just maybe they can go have that glimpse of normality again. Which is, you know, it's very sad, and I really do. I pray for these individuals, and I wish them the best, and I hope one day that they'll, you know, be opened up to the truth. But the reasoning for, you know, the recent mandate for Xavier's, for the vaccine, is because our cases of quote unquote Delta were rising significantly. At the time that I emailed you, it was about 140 student cases, and now it's about 150 to 160 cases of COVID on campus. But here's the catch. I feel like they accidentally said this. They said the quiet part out loud, had a Freudian slip on their own emails. They said that 80% of the students that tested positive for COVID were fully vaccinated, but yet they still doubled down on, you know, the mandate. They said, like, in that same email that they sent out about the rising number of cases, they said, oh yeah, 80% of these people are fully vaccinated, but in order for us to stop this, you still have to get the vaccine. Which, I mean, the logic just does not make sense there. If, you know, 80% of the people that are catching this are, you know, vaccinated, wouldn't you want to, you know, maybe look in a different direction? Like, let's see, 20% of the people here that are catching it are not vaccinated. And who's to say they actually have it? Like, it could be false positives, and we all know the test is faulty. And it's just mind-boggling to me. So,
and there's nothing keeping any of them from just flat out lying. It's possible that they're not even testing anybody. And unfortunately, there are also those individuals who are so far gone that they're consistently testing themselves on a day in and day out basis, and the test itself actually hurts them physically.
Yep.
The test is making people sick.
Yep. There are plenty of people on campus that are still afraid of it, even if they're vaccinated, which is supposed to be what's protecting them from, you know, all hell breaking loose is that vaccine, and they still feel afraid. They're keeping these people, the students, just living in constant fear, which is also not good for you. Like, that in turn can deteriorate your body in many ways if you're constantly living in fear.
And unfortunately, the very satanic people at the top here that are pulling these strings know that.
Mm-hmm.
They know that, and they want these individuals to be so far gone that it ends up being their own actions that cause their own demise.
Yep.
Let me ask you a quick question about the population numbers. Have you seen just in the people walking around and participating in the class sizes and the what have you, and then also sort of break down the basic class structure if you can, but as far as the classroom environment is concerned. But have you seen less people there this year as opposed to last year? Just an eyeball test.
You know what? Maybe. Yeah. I definitely think, well, actually, apparently our freshman class is a lot bigger than it was last year. But it does seem like there are less people in at least my classes. Right now, there's less people in person, right? Because they're being quarantined. But, I forgot to mention, they're still threatening that, by the way. If you get test positive, you have to quarantine, or go home. But it does seem like classes are a little bit smaller, at least because I was on Zoom calls last year with like at least 30 people in some of my classes. Those were mainly my like major classes, but I can't really tell you specifically if the population's decreased, but I will say there are people that, are now agreeing that these policies are stupid. But I think the majority of people are okay with the vaccine mandate, which is very unfortunate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you kind of a personal question.
Okay.
You said you have a sibling. Clearly, you have parents.
Mm-hmm.
From a familial standpoint, have any of your family members taken the jabs?
My father and my stepmother have, because they work in the hospital, and they took it before everyone else did, because it was required for them. But they don't push it. They actually don't want me to take it. But they did it for their jobs. My mother is very against it. My brother is against it, and my stepsister is against it as well. And everyone in my family, pretty much, at least my primary family, is very health oriented. We look to alternative options when it comes to medicine and stuff like. Well, not all of us, but especially now, though, we have done more research and stuff on alternative medicine and ways to maintain a healthy body, ways to fight off viral infection, et cetera, et cetera. My aunt in particular, I'll be honest, she is the one that told me about your podcast, and she's so excited that I'm speaking to you.
That's awesome.
She's a wonderful person, and she has informed me greatly on many, many things. But yeah, that's about like where my family stands on the vaccine and on just this whole. We're pretty much all over the whole COVID thing now. Everyone hates it.
Good. That's good. That's good. Well, that's very cool.
We were kind of like that from the beginning, though.
Yeah, good. That's good. I would, again, as you probably already have figured this out, again, regardless of what moves the university makes or the FDA makes, again, they're all, they use that saying, we're all in this together. Well, as it turns out, all of the Satanists are in this together, and they're against us. So regardless of any approval or, age group where they say, well, it's okay for this age group now, or it's okay for this age group, it's, I'm just telling you, don't ever do it. Mm-hmm. I've even read that they're, and I read this a long time ago, but they're even putting the same juice and thinking about putting the exact same juice that's in these COVID jabs into the flu shots. So
Oh man.
I don't know if you're a flu shot person.
Nope.
Perfect. Yeah.
Never been.
Awesome. Good for you. Could be why you're so bright. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Well, let me ask you then. What are your plans here? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I'm certainly hell bent on not getting the jab. That's for sure. And my aunt won't let me take it under any circumstances. So there's
yeah. If you take it, it'll kill you, and if you take it, she'll kill you.
Yeah. So I'm dead,
so think about that one.
But I've been looking into other options. Of course, I would love to pursue a career in the medical field, but unfortunately, like, they're gonna most likely anywhere I go is gonna force it. I am working on like maybe some kind of exemption from the vaccine. But if we can't find anything there, then I will most likely end up transferring to another school. I've been looking into University of Cincinnati because I don't believe that they're mandating it.
They still have the masks in place, if I'm not mistaken.
That's better than vaccine mandate. Still stupid and illogical, but better than forced jab. And Hillsdale College is another place I'm looking at because I feel like there my views will actually be appreciated, and I could have proper dialogue there.
Perfect.
But if things don't work out, it's not going to be the end of the world for me. I have a plan B and stuff. I really, like, to be honest, I've always wanted to be an author because I write better than I speak. I have trouble when it comes to speaking. But
not here, you don't.
Thank you. I think I did all right.
Yeah, it's very valuable. I mean, again, what you're experiencing, you need to understand. You're not singular in the struggle here. I would simply tell people again, and I've said it 1,000 times, that this is war. And in war, individuals have to wrap their mind around that reality, that it is war, that we're not, we may not be wearing fatigues. Some of us carry guns, some don't, but you have to change your surroundings. And if the enemy is coming at you, you have to move. You can either stay and fight, which is fine, but you can't succumb to what they want you to succumb to. And you've got to bounce around, and you have to move. And I was just on another man's podcast by the name of Richard Sachs, and he's got a killer podcast, but and it's a kind of a video vlog kind of thing. But we had a 2-hour conversation last night. And I told him over and over again that not only is it war, but we have to survive.
Right.
We just have to live, and we can't fall for all of the tricks that these horrific individuals are trying to get us to fall for. That will keep us ultimately from surviving. So,
right.
Yeah, stay alive, man. That's
I agree.
As simple as that sounds, that's really as simple as it is.
I think what people need to realize is that you're never going to be 100% safe, no matter what. That's not a guarantee. Like, if you wanted to be safe all the time, you wouldn't drive a car. You wouldn't, because there's always that risk of crashing or getting into an accident. You would never eat because what if you catch food poisoning? You're never going to be 100% safe. So why constantly live in fear of a virus that has a 99.9% chance of survival? Especially the young people out there who still live in fear. I pray for them. I want them to be, liberated from these shackles that they have put on them. And I think it's going to take, that realization one day that you're not going to be safe. The world is not a safe place, but you can make your life meaningful by doing things that are good for you, good for your family, and good for those that you love and people around you. Like, find meaning in your life, and don't live in fear all the time. Like, it's like you're never going to be safe. Like, you're not going to cheat death. Everyone dies at some point. It's sad to say, but it's just reality. Would you rather die constantly living in fear, wearing a mask and hiding out in your home the entire time, or would you want to die with a complete and fulfilled life, doing crazy, amazing and wondrous things? Like, I know it's cliche to say, but I think people need to hear that kind of stuff. They need to be, they need more positive energy in their life. They're constantly being fed negativity and being told to hate this person and that person because they have a different view, or because they didn't get the jab, or because they don't agree with masking, et cetera, et cetera. They need more positivity in their life, and they need to be told to not be afraid anymore.
Certainly words to live by right there. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish people would, wake up to and realize that, but, it's going to take a lot more than what we're doing now, what people are doing now.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna sort of project some information here, and the people who, listen to my podcast know that I'm sort of in the business of, again, making predictions when I can. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll fully say that I'm wrong. But when the writing is on the wall regarding this whole thing and everything that's happening, it becomes easier and easier to sort of look down the line and see what's coming. And of course, one of the things that I've mentioned, among many others, is that I think that it's inevitable that the schools are going to close again, and that that the universities are going to lock down again, because in fact, it's already happening. There are K-12 school districts around where I live that are closing for several days, and I'm just going to read this headline for you right now. And this is around where we live. It says Lebanon city schools closing for several days due to COVID cases. And it says making masks, and that they're going to make masks mandatory. It's not their COVID cases, quote unquote, as to why they're closing. They're closing because, and again, I said this on my podcast, they're closing because the teachers who have been jabbed are getting ill.
Of course.
And they're transmitting their illness onto the unjabbed students. And the jabbed students, if they got the jabs, they're getting ill.
Yep.
It's inevitable that these buildings will close, and I don't think Xavier University is going to be exempt from closing.
That's what they're talking about here. I've been hearing at least some chatter about it. Right now, it's just we're on strict COVID restrictions, or like policies right now. Not as strict as last year, thankfully, but they're still in place. We have to wear masks now in our residence hall and stuff. Not in our rooms, though. Gosh. But there has been some chatter about, closing. But honestly, I think if schools do close, I think parents need to, take the time with their kids and, teach them actual values and, educate them on truthful things. Because a lot of what these schools are doing is they're feeding these kids lies, and, they're teaching them how to hate more than love. And I think, that the silver lining there could be, this gives parents the opportunity to be with their kids more and to, teach them true and morally just values.
Have you considered leaving Xavier before too long here? to sort of get ahead of the curve, so to speak?
Like leaving,
like walking right into your campus administration building, asking for a copy of your full transcript, and then just leaving?
I haven't like thought about it leaving this semester. I had planned on finishing the semester up and then taking taking myself somewhere else to learn. I hadn't thought about like just leaving one day, just be like, yeah, I'm out of here, because like I did, pay, a great sum of money and took out loans to be able to attend, which again is a whole nother topic. So I mean, I at least want to get the full semester out of the way so I can get all my credits there.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be attending next semester.
Yeah, me personally, again, I'm not telling you what to do. It's your life, but with all the writing on the wall here, if I was in your position, knowing what I know and now doing what you're doing and being able to see the entire landscape for what's going on, I would spend my time this semester, if I was you again, just spending my free time researching where else to go to school. Just make a phone call, make a straight up phone call to Hillsdale. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'll just pick up the phone and answer every question you have. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Right.
And then again, if that means that you got to move back with a family member, then move back with a family member. I can't think of a safer environment right now than an environment that's as far away from a K-12 or university setting as humanly possible.
Right.
So, for your own health and your own well-being, not to mention, you don't want to be transmitted on by the jabbed. So right. That's something that you've got to take into consideration as well. Because again, I mean, I've known family members where that's already been the case. So it's a very real thing.
Oh yeah. It's very scary. But like, I think there are steps people can take to, significantly reduce the chances of them contracting the virus from someone who's jabbed, or, having less symptoms. But people, we as a country just don't promote that anymore. We don't promote the kind of habits that, make a healthy body and give you the tools you need to fight against, viral infection or bacterial infection. Like the options are there. It's just we don't promote it enough. We don't glamorize it anymore. Like it's like, I'll take Xavier for instance. I don't see anything regarding all throughout campus. I don't see anything about eating healthy, getting proper nutrients, taking your vitamins, or getting your vitamins from something like fruits and vegetables. I don't see any of that. I don't see anything about getting proper exercise. I don't see anything about getting proper sleep. That's one thing that I think a lot of people could greatly benefit from, is getting a full 8 hours of sleep and sleeping on a consistent schedule. They don't promote that. I think the only place you'll see something about exercise is at the recreation center where the gym is. But then you see posters everywhere that say, our mascot is the musketeer, right? So they have a play on words here. It's be a masketeer. It's very cringy.
Oh God,
it's terrible. It's so bad.
It's the worst.
Oh man. It's a picture of D'Artagnan, like the musketeer he has like a face mask on. It's awful.
Of course he does. That's horrible.
And it's be a masketeer, and they have 4 different things you can do to prevent getting COVID or whatever, none of which mention anything about proper maintenance of your body. I think one is wear a mask, one is like social distance or something, or one is get a COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the other one is. It's something stupid though, or get tested maybe, or quarantine if sick. That might be it. Quarantine. but nothing about like, oh, well, vitamin C helps boost your immune system, so you might want to look into maybe eating an orange or two a day or something, or taking some vitamin C vitamins. Nothing about, getting proper sunlight. Finding ways to lower your cortisol levels, such as disconnecting from social media and technology and going outside and reading or something.
Yep.
The focus has never been on health. It has always been on pushing pharmaceutical drugs. Because if you have a healthy population, then Big Pharma is not going to make any money.
Well, it's always been sick care. It's not health care.
Right.
You need sick people to make money.
Exactly. Which is, unfortunately, as a doctor, as someone who wants to be a doctor, that's the reality of it. But, I would rather promote, I tell people this, I would rather be a doctor who promotes alternative means of healing than just simply prescribing a drug. You know your body best because you live in it. And so I would rather look to different kinds of natural remedies or simple activities or things that you can do, adjustments in your life that could greatly enhance your, the strength of your body. And if we really want to talk about, public health crises here, heart disease is the number one killer in America. It's not COVID. Suicide is in the top 5. Why are we not banning, if heart disease is up there at number 1, why are we not banning fast food restaurants?
Hey, you can get a Big Mac and a COVID jab all at the same time.
If you have a COVID jab, you can get a free Krispy Kreme donut every day.
That's right.
It's a little bizarre, and it's unfortunate, but the best thing to do is just to educate people. But that's even difficult nowadays.
Yeah, because there's no way that someone who's around your age group could ever possibly know more than an adult. Someone who is, you're an adult, but somebody who is older.
Mm-hmm.
that illusion that someone's age has something to do with their intellect is remarkably insulting.
Right.
And again, even if you were to walk around your campus and stop someone who's masked to the bone and they're walking around like a zombie and you can tell that they've been double or triple jabbed, if you were to even remotely educate them on the truth, they would look at you like you were a foreigner from a foreign universe. There's no way that they would ever be able to comprehend what you were telling them.
And it's all about titles. I don't have a specific title in front of my name. I'm not a doctor. So because I'm not a doctor, I then can't give suggestions about health. I can't even say, well, this works for me, so maybe give it a shot. Give it a try.
But you could, at the very least, you could explain to them, hey, did you know that not all doctors support what's going on?
Oh, yes.
When you could say, hey,
hydroxychloroquine thing broke.
Yeah.
I was pushing that. I was talking about, these doctors do not put up with this. Why are they being silenced? Stella Emanuel is an actual doctor. She has done work in Nigeria. But she's being censored because she's going against the narrative.
I love that woman.
Oh, she's amazing. She speaks her mind.
No doubt. And she's saving people's lives.
Oh, yes. She is. And she's a great speaker and has great data, to show for it. But because the society is so built on, the big tech overlords and their social media platforms, it's hard to get anything out, without being censored.
Is there any way that you would be willing to come back on and just kind of keep the audience updated and keep me updated with what's going on as time progresses there? And you can be our ears on the ground there and essentially just give us updates as to what's going on at Xavier a little at a time, over the course of this next semester before hopefully you jump ship.
I would definitely do that, yes.
Sweet. Love to have you back on anytime, man.
Awesome.
And again, if you've got any parting words for the audience here, or any suggestions, go for it. Me personally, I'll just end by saying this, and then I'll give you the end here. I would say that anybody listening to this needs to know that this man is ahead of the curve, and that this guy, that hope is not lost here for this country when we've got people like Jeff, quote unquote, saying what he's saying and doing what he's doing and knowing what he knows. Yeah, I think that we can certainly win this war with people such as yourself on our side, and we hope that clearly you stay on our side, and it sounds like you're going to, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot from us to truly wake up the population, but I think for now, for those that are listening, there are people that think this, that have the same ideas as you, have the same opinions, and are sick of this crap and want this all to end. And they're tired of being controlled and micromanaged by a ruling elite of think tanks and eggheads and lab coats that, prescribe you these drugs that harm your body and don't give you true medical advice or health advice to actually give you a healthy and long-lasting life. I think it's going to take a lot of us to speak out against these nefarious ideas and nefarious tactics, and they can't control us all. And I know they can't control us all because I know that there's so many people like us that are speaking out. We just have to be patient, and we have to fight.
Thank you for listening to American Education FM. Make sure and check out AmericanEducationFM.com for more information. Take care and God bless.